there was an idea. The idea was to bring together a group of remarkable people, see if they could become something more.
I have an army. We have a Hulk.
This is the Marvel Tribe, brought to you by Walt's Apartment Podcast and the DisInsider.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Marvel Tribe. We are a group of excited and passionate individuals who have come together to share our love of all things Marvel. We are brought to you by Walt's Apartment Podcast and the DisInsider.com. So honored to be joined tonight by our amazing group of Marvel nerds. Tonight you have Sam and David and Breanna. How are you guys tonight?
Hey.
I'm hanging in there, apparently, for some of you guys.
Well, you want me to finish this intro here?
Let's do it. Finish it up.
All right. From the big screen to the small print, feel the pulse in your chest so you know you're alive. One team, one love.
It's the Marvel Tribe.
Yes.
Yes.
Marvel Tribing it up.
What are we doing tonight, David? What are we talking about? Let's tell the people.
So we had to take a quick break. It was my fault, so I'll own up to that and stuff. Just so you guys know, my professional life is chaos, and we're moving corporate headquarters into a different city. And it just worked out. We could not record and stuff. So we're playing catch up, which is fine because it kind of works out for all of us because we get to have Breanna with us. Mm-hmm. So welcome back. Yay. She did some awesome stuff in Disney and the Disney parks, and I'm jealous, super jealous and excited. Because if you don't follow Breanna, please follow her. And she posts like really cool stuff on our Instagram and her stuff. And it's just, yeah. Anyway, we're going to be recapping episode 6, which was the of the What If series, which is Killmonger saves Tony Stark, as well as episode 7, which was, Party on Thor, Mr. Only Son Spoiled, Proxy King of Asgard. So, Sam, Breanna, do you guys want to tell us what's new with you guys before we get started on the recapping?
I'm very tired still from my trip, but there's a few posts still on Walt's apartment. Most of it was stories that have disappeared, but there's a couple TikToks that went up about Club Cool and meeting Agatha at Oogie Boogie Bash. So check us out on TikTok. She was absolutely amazing. Like, I can't get over how good she was.
She should be. She will be a permanent fixture.
She better be.
Yeah.
Hopefully she's more permanent in the parks and not just for
I'll take her all year round everywhere.
Parties. As far as me, Rachel and I just recorded an episode on Disology about how Roger Rabbit was kind of Disney's first multiverse. So that's going to be coming out in a couple days. You guys can check that out. Other than that, I'm just taking in all the Marvel glory we can get.
Right on. I gotta say, I had a big crush on Jessica Rabbit when it first came out in the 80s. So
I think every young man did.
Yeah.
It was my first cartoon crush. I mean, it was special for me because it was a cartoon. Never thought that was a possibility. But anyway, back to Marvel.
Now that you made it awkward.
I know, I'm like sitting here, two amazing women and stuff, and I'm like just ranting about cartoon crushes. So anyway, episode 6, Killmonger saves Stark. So I actually do love this episode. It really revolves around Killmonger changing his tactic on the way he's going to decide to conquer Wakanda and stuff. And it was a very brilliant one. It really kind of showed how smart Killmonger actually is. They actually really kind of flex a little bit of the chess playing skills that he has. And where it kind of picks up is it starts with Iron Man 1, kind of how he's in the desert. He was demonstrating his new weapons and stuff. And the 10 Rings had a plot to capture Tony Stark so they can have him develop the Jericho missiles and stuff. So it takes place of him traveling down the desert. Is it Afghanistan, I believe, that they're in? And you see the same, it's almost shot for shot. And, the same thing, they're in the Humvees with a convoy. And then the explosion happens and the convoy is being attacked. And Tony's like, give me a gun. And, the guys are just getting obliterated. He gets out of the Humvee and trying to get some cover. And next thing you know, a Stark issued missile lands right in front of him. Now, where the difference is from the Iron Man 1 is, it blows up and obviously the shrapnel, embeds himself in Tony's chest. He gets captured by the 10 rings. In this episode, this multiverse timeline, Killmonger shows up. He picks up that big missile and launches that bad boy up in the air and kaboom, saves Tony Stark. And from that moment on, we can never use Iron Man reference because Iron Man does not exist. He changed that forever. So, he gets saved. Killmonger is doing what he does. He's a special forces tactical soldier. He saves Tony Stark. They bring him back to the States. It picks right up at the press conference where just like in the original Iron Man, they does a press conference and instead of a few things have changed from the press conference. So instead of him coming out with his chess piece and talking about how they're going to be a institution for peace and all that other stuff, he decided to make an announcement to make Killmonger the head of his security staff. And not only that, but the same reporter lady who actually reprised her role for this, which was kind of cool, was trying to, instead of the gotcha moment with Tony Stark, she played the gotcha moment with Killmonger, saying, well, didn't you kind of knew that Tony was going to get ambushed and stuff? And he, we are thinking like, oh, damn, that's right off the gate. Killmonger is getting blasted. And he cops to it. And he's like, hey, I did this because I knew I had to figure out how deep this went. And I found out that it went as deep as Obadiah Stane and put him on blast, delivered the receipts. He had receipts put down on the screen. And then Obadiah
had orchestrated the attack. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. He freaks out and tries to run away. And then here comes Happy Hogan, nails him with his, because we all don't know, he was a professional boxer and nails him with the right hook. And so Killmonger takes Happy's job as the head of the security detail. And then after that event, they end up going over to Stark's house where he normally would have took the reporter, but it was just him and Killmonger. And I did notice that he's been drinking a lot. He's almost borderline alcoholic, similar to like the comic books and stuff. So
yeah. So that's pretty much.
So,
he wasn't kidnapped by the 10 rings, so he's a very different Tony Stark.
Correct.
And instead of saying, that his, missiles and his tech they're being used for the wrong reasons and wanting to do better, now he's like, hey, let's double down on our order.
Yes. And let's make better defense.
Bigger, more.
Bigger stick. Yes, we're going with the bigger stick method.
And then he even made he made a deal with Ulysses too, right?
Yes.
Which that doesn't happen in the Sacred Timeline.
Nope. Claw is not. Well, they merge. So this is a part of Killmonger's plan, and they definitely. But we'll get to that part of it. So they're inside, kind of doing their buoying it up and stuff. Love fest, and Stark offers him Pepper Potts' position to really kind of be his partner, So Obadiah was the partner, and as we know in Iron Man, when he got, it was Pepper who took over and stuff. And now, because of how quickly he already got a promotion, he went from head of security to now the right-hand man helping running Stark Industries and stuff. And we find out that he went to MIT, just like Tony did, with the exception that Tony graduated as a child from MIT, where Killmonger did not. But still, equally, he's pretty brilliant. He has a degree in engineering, and he talked about how he had this idea for a peace drone, a soldier drone, to save human bodies and lives and stuff. We can send drones out there, and he just could not get it to work. He had the design and everything else, and Stark, being Stark, managed to quickly pull up the MIT database
instantly,
and find his drone. And he made the coolest Easter egg reference was the drone looks like a Gundam, which it's an anime reference.
Yes, and Michael B. Jordan, who plays Killmonger,
yes,
he's a huge anime fan.
Oh, big anime. In fact, he was instrumental in. So, for those who don't know, the Killmonger's outfit is not based off the comic books. It's actually based off of Michael B. Jordan's love for anime, because they base his outfit off Vegeta. Who, those who don't know who Vegeta is, he is a character from Dragon Ball Z. And if you look at Vegeta and you look at Killmonger, you will never unsee that ever again. It's solidified in your brain. That costume comes from that. So this Easter egg was more of a nod to Michael B. Jordan than Killmonger himself. So, and
there's a connection to Genlock too, which Michael B. Jordan starred in.
Yes, absolutely. So so Tony, was like, well, let's if we can't do it, we're going to build the world's most expensive Gundam, and so they begin to work and stuff, and they're kind of having some trouble. They're doing their testing, and things were blowing up, and and I love how he says it's a success if it doesn't blow up, and then it crashes and burns and stuff. And so these two are having obviously a bromance and stuff. I mean, they were brought together by trauma. They have similar, they lost their dads. They really were kind of, as Tony said, having a Butch Cassidy and Sundance moment, which Pepper Potts conveniently remind them that both of them died at the end of that romance and stuff. So kind of foreshadowing things in this episode. Let's see what else happened. He talked about how he only if he could get his hands on some vibranium, where he can kind of help with the power source for more of a stabilized power source. And he says he used, he was told that they used it all for Cap's shield. And that's when Killmonger pulled out the sacred Wakandan Prince ring that his father gave to him and says not all of the vibranium. And this is where a really big reveal is. We get to see this really big reveal that talks about how Stark tech is actually powered, because he analyzed that vibranium ring. And if you notice, Stark had to create a new element to power his suits. That element is the exact same element as the way that ring is designed from the vibranium. So that source, that element is an actual it's a cosmic element and stuff that he developed and stuff, and it came from vibranium. So that his whole power base is based off of that vibranium element and stuff. So that was really cool. They never talked about that, and in the live action MCU version and stuff. So they tried it, they tested it, the power source worked. But they needed it on the bigger scale if they're going to build a drum army, and that's where who was it? Killmonger had the idea of meeting with Claw, who he heard had a secret stash of a lot of vibranium. Now, with that, Claw is an international wanted terrorist. He's on everyone's wanted list. And Tony Stark having a meeting with Claw, or anyone having a meeting with Claw, is a big no-no. So they had Stark had the brilliant idea of sending Rhodey, Sending Rhodey, who's voiced by Don Cheadle, actually. They actually retcon the actor, not the character of Rhodey, because the original Rhodey in Iron Man is played by Terrence Howard, but in this comic cartoon version, it's played by Don Cheadle's version of Rhodey, which I thought was cool. I mean, they did it with Bruce Banner in the Incredible Hulk. It was done by Edward Norton. on the original Hulk, and then they got Mark Ruffalo to retcon that Hulk, and so there's a few bit of actor character retconning, which is kind of a rare thing.
It's kind of a multiverse in itself.
It is.
Yeah.
So it's a variant of So maybe in the 616 or the Terrence Howard variant exists, but this one we got the Don Cheadle variant. So they decided to send the government to actually go do a deal with Ulysses Claw because they have more cover that way, and so they set it. Killmonger helped set that up. Claw,
oh, it's a setup, all right.
yeah, absolutely. So Claw comes in, and he's there in some warehouse and stuff. You see Rhodey and his guys, and Claw's opens up his little vault, and he has a whole bunch of vibranium, including a spear, which I think is the first time they actually referenced the value of vibranium, because he pulls out that really thin Dora Milaje spear and says, "This spear cost me $10 million." So it right there kind of shows how valuable it's probably the most valuable precious metal on the planet. So with that, it was another reveal for for vibranium and the value of and the wealth that Wakanda actually holds and stuff. So with that, knowing that Wakanda is on his trail to track down and reclaim all their vibranium stuff, Claw was very eager to kind of get the deal done. Little do we know that Killmonger kind of laid a trap not only for Claw and for Rhodey, he laid one for Black Panther too, because guess who shows up to the party to help reclaim the vibranium and track down Claw is Black Panther himself. Which was actually another role that Chadwick Boseman got to play before his passing and stuff, which was really kind of cool. I think it was really special when they showed Chadwick's character T'Challa in the astral plane, which was, and he said some really pivotal things and stuff to Killmonger. So the next scene we have. The big fight scene and stuff is going down, and we see we see Killmonger actually take one of Tony Stark's his I forgot the name of the device, but it's the same device they used in Iron Man when Obadiah's put the earpieces in and did the little sonic thing to Tony Stark.
I think he called it a sonic taser, but I don't know official name.
I think we'll go with that. That's official to me. So this is a bigger version of that little device that Obadiah Stane used in the original Iron Man. It's this sonic taser, and he used it on Rhodey as well as Black Panther. Black Panther quickly flipped off his helmet and stuff as if that was going to help things. It did not. And unfortunately, as he was trying to reason with Killmonger kind of just powered the thing up, and he killed T'Challa right then and there. And then he goes over to Brody, and he has kind of a villain reveal, I guess is the best way you say it, because Brody is shocked. He's like, dude, you're a military guy, what's it's like, yeah, no, you're not solving anything for our people and stuff like that. And they go off as Brody says, well, you got to do it from the inside and stuff and everything else. It's like, no, there's another way. You can burn the whole thing down. So he uses that reference again, and then he kills Rhodey. Setting up the stage that Rhodey, who's a government official, killed Black Panther, which the goal of that was to get Wakanda
to go to war with the U.S.
Yes.
So this is when we start to see that the reason that Killmonger wants to take over Wakanda in the sequence is more politicized than it is for revenge or emotional.
Oh, absolutely. So this is all part of his him playing chess and stuff, and even though he ends up going back to the Stark's residence, and Tony, being the person he is, the techie guy is, he wanted to see how that deal was going to go down. So he had it bugged, and he saw the video. He saw Killmonger kill his best friend Rhodey and Black Panther, and the Prince of Wakanda. And so when instead of calling the authorities, because Stark is very arrogant and he likes to handle things himself. That's just how he is. He confronted Killmonger in his living room and played the video of him killing those two guys, and he decided I'm all about getting revenge. Could have called the authorities, but revenge is so much better. And then enter the Gundam freaking drone robot soldier, which was badass. I can say that on this.
Yes.
Yeah.
You just can't use the F word. That's it.
That's right.
Everything else is good.
So I won't use fraudulent on this podcast.
Okay. Okay.
So the Gundam droid drone comes in, and he's like, yeah, no, this would be a lot much satisfying, to watch, you get destroyed by your own invention and stuff. And so he's sitting there. So here, Killmonger trying to fight the drone, and the robot is basically matching them for blow. It's like, did you not forget? It's programmed off of your moves and stuff.
So yeah, like talking about combat too in this. So with that being modeled after his fight style, Tony never became Iron Man, so he had no combat skills.
No, none.
Same with like Rhodey. He had like your standard, soldier fighting style. He didn't have
kind of a politician, military man.
Yeah, he didn't have like War Machine style fighting. And same thing with Obadiah. Like Obadiah never became Ironmonger or whatever. It's Ironmonger, right?
Ironmonger.
So he kind of when he went down with that one punch from Happy, like their fighting styles are so different because they never took up their mantles.
Correct. Yep. 1000%. And so, not T'Challa. So Killmonger, he says, I'm gonna have to freestyle it, and so there's an Easter egg in this that a lot of people don't know who are comic book fans and stuff. That this Easter egg is more towards Taskmaster than anything. So Taskmaster, for those who don't know the character, is a character that can instantly mimic anybody and anything. So it picks up on your fighting style, and it will match you toe to toe. The only person really that Taskmaster cannot deal with is Deadpool, because Deadpool is constantly freestyling his fighting style, and he constantly will kick Taskmaster's butt. So when he said that, I'm just going to freestyle it, that for me, that was a cool reference Easter egg to Deadpool and how he handles something that is trained to the infinite to match you and to destroy you. So Killmonger freestyles. He gets the vibranium Dora Milaje spear, and he destroys the drone. Soon as after he destroys the drone, he does a nice little spin chuck, throws the spear at Tony Stark, and impels him into the wall. Which, oh my God, can we make an episode where Tony doesn't die somehow? It's just, I think there's a couple. There's one I think he doesn't die in, or he just wasn't in it at all. But yeah, he talked about, he goes up to Tony, and this is, which was kind of an interesting conversation, because he talked about, I thought we were the same, both, orphaned, by our parent, our dad, it's just, I looked at you as the same. And he's like, that's the problem and stuff. You and I don't see each other through the same eyes, through the same lens and stuff. I'm not quoting him verbatim, but that's what he was really kind of talking about, his experience growing up as a black kid in America versus Tony Stark's privileged experience growing up and stuff.
And it's also important to note here that the manner of his father's death was reported as gang violence instead of being killed by T'Chaka to save Zuri.
Correct. Yep. 100%. So they had that little exchange, and then he kind of, embeds the spear in to finish off Tony Stark's, and he's done. This is where, so we fast forward to where
he mass produced.
Yes, he's in. So he's in Stark's office, and then in walks Pepper Potts, and they're having kind of a little. She doesn't trust Killmonger from the get go. It just there's something off about him. Regardless of she met with Rhodey, which I didn't talk about, but Rhodey gave him his file and read everything's kind of clean. He's a special force guy. He's highly trained, highly decorated and stuff. So there was no dirt there, but her intuition was like, I don't trust this guy.
Yeah, there was a point at the beginning of the episode where she said everybody wants something from Tony.
Yep. And
she just needed to know what.
Exactly.
And we find out what.
Yep. And so we hear them. So the military comes in to seize Stark's weapons and technology and stuff. And one of the things they're very interested in is the drones the Gundam drones that Stark and Killmonger built. And the fact that Killmonger was one of the instrumental programmers for that, the government just seized it, and they had Killmonger help develop the drone army, because guess what? We're going to war with Wakanda. We have sources that is Wakanda, it was Black Panther who killed Rhodey, killed one of our guys and stuff, and so this means war. We're going to annihilate that little village, which is they still don't know what Wakanda is and stuff. So I thought that was kind of funny, as how low rent they speak of about Wakanda. And so they developed so with Killmonger's help, the U.S. military takes Tony Stark's tech, develops a whole army of these drones, and they start heading off over to Africa to go to war. Now, while that's happening, while the drones are being built and manufactured and they're preparing to go to war, which Killmonger knows all of this, he managed to meet up with his old buddy Claw to head over to Wakanda. I'm not sure what was the trick that he was able to get him to go with him, but he set Claw up like he did before. This is the part where this was in Black Panther, where instead of the whole museum heist and stuff, they're on the safari and they're going on another mission, and then Claw, who's getting kind of sketched out, doesn't want to be nowhere near Wakanda, because the last time, he was kind of left with a permanent reminder. Killmonger gets out of the vehicle and then shoots Claw point blank in the head. Just like, poor Claw, not poor Claw. That is one character I really do think that they messed up in Black Panther of taking out early. He really is a really good character, and but that's just me and my own little thing and stuff. So he kills Claw. He uses Claw body to infiltrate Wakanda. He's met with the Dora Milaje. He drops a body like, hey, here's who's really responsible for Black Panther's death. As well as the military. They bring him. He reveals that he is a Wakandan. They bring him before the king, which King T'Chaka is here because there was no bomb in the embassy and stuff. He's alive, very much very much.
He's very accepting of Killmonger.
Guilt, that is guilt accepting. You can see it in his eyes. So for an animated cartoon, they did a very good job drawing emotions on some of these cartoons and stuff. You can see the guilt written, like you have your father's eyes, my brother's eyes. I can see. So he wanted. I felt T'Chaka wanted more than anything to just find a way to forgive and not bring up that past, and the fact that Killmonger never mentioned anything about it made it easier for him to accept Killmonger and stuff. And so the one cool thing I thought was interesting, because they're like, well, we got to prepare for war because America's coming.
Yes.
And Shuri, who's also like Pepper Potts, skeptical of Killmonger, is like, what? Okay, this seems super fishy as hell. Shuri's a lot younger in this timeline than we see in the live action version. She's looked like she was around the age 13.
I was going to say, I was like, they either made her really short or they were trying to make her look really young. So technically this event happened before the Civil War. So she would be around 13 years old and stuff, because this is kind of partial to Iron Man 1, which took half a decade before the Civil War started. So
So they got the timeline right, which was kind of cool. So Shuri is this little kid, but she's still sassy. She's still a genius, and she's still, she runs their technology and stuff. The other cool thing is we got to see this whole half a decade a time difference. Our time shift is that T'Challa's mom, T'Challa's wife, is the general.
Of the Dorable, and she, like we don't ever get to see Romana in combat in the MCU and Sacred Timeline until now. We get to see she's leading the Dora Milaje.
Yeah, she was trained. She was raised as a Dora Milaje. She married.
He calls her a general, and
she is Okoye's position and stuff. So something in that 5-year gap and stuff between Civil War and Iron Man 1, that power transitioned and stuff. So, which was kind of cool and stuff. So they're preparing for war. So I'm going through this whole breakdown and stuff, and I want to stop. So if you guys can kind of chime in, because I want to make sure that I'm not just talking all the time and because we can jump back and forth and talk about certain segments and stuff of this. So.
No, it's like, I think you're good. I was like, one thing I really liked was how charismatic Killmonger was through this whole episode. Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, he was very charismatic in the Black Panther as well, but like he was very blunt in Black Panther, and here he fooled everyone. He had everyone fooled. I mean, yes,
he's a great, nice guy,
but like he had everyone fooled at some point. Like.
Oh, no, 100%. I agree with that. I think in Black Panther, he was very, like you said, he was very, very blunt. He was, he was angry. He was an angry person and stuff, and that kind of came through. Here, he really was calculating. Mm-hmm. He knew his audience and what he needed to say to that particular audience. So he didn't play one mode. He was very.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, think about politicians.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was saying earlier. Like in this episode, he was not driven by vengeance this time. He was not driven by emotion. It was completely political for him.
Yeah, well, he wants to rule Wakanda, and this is the strategy that's going to get him right to it. And so when he talked, and speaking of strategy, so they talked about, they have, the big Wakanda force fields on, and here's the drone army approaching, and the drone army, they're being monitored and watched, from the States by the generals, and they're seeing Wakanda kind of like this shack looking kind of towns, like, this is Wakanda, really? And meanwhile, there's this whole shield that's hidden and stuff, and so Killmonger suggests, like, well, what if we, they're kind of communicating, their T-linked communication, and being controlled over in the United States. What if we let them in? And Shuri's like, what, and let them in, and then we can close the shield behind them, therefore separating that link. Therefore, you can't control the drones anymore. And so Shuri's like, okay, that's not a bad idea. And so, they consent it, and it's like, all right, well, let's try it. And meanwhile, he's doing all this to try to win favor from the royals, because, it's hard to try to get someone to trust you immediately. But in the crisis situation, and
he quickly wanted to be put in a position of power.
Yes. So they went with his plan. They were on the battlefield. The general thought it was a good idea. So she's out there on the battlefield, and they're preparing. Here comes the drone army inside of the shields. Freaks out the United States, because they're like, whoa, shit, that's Wakanda? Okay. That's a lot different than what we thought it was. And as the drones army approaches, they close the shields behind the drone army, and they think they got victory because the drone starts to shut down. The link was severed, and it was like, oh, wow, that was defeating America was pretty darn easy. Meanwhile, this is all part of Killmonger's plan. So, Killmonger, it acted exactly like what he said, and so therefore they're like, oh, wow, he was right. It did work. And then he pulls out a little transmitter from his pocket, activated it, and the drones came right back on. And this is what boggled Shuri's mind. Like, wait, what the hell's going on here? He's like, oh, Stark must have built a backup just in case. Like, why the hell would Stark ever do that? That's not his, Stark, and which is very, very true. People don't realize this. Stark don't operate off of plan Bs and plan Cs.
No, he's arrogant. He expects plan A to work.
Because no one can do what Stark does. So plan A that's the plan. There's no back, there wasn't a JV team of the Avengers, like, hey, this is my main team, but if things don't, here's the backup. No, that's not how he operates and stuff. And Sherry knows that. It's like, why would he ever build a backup and stuff? That doesn't make any sense. So she was like, okay, that's sus. I'm keeping my eye on you, cousin. Meanwhile, the drones are active and they're coming towards us. So, the general, they organized the Wakandan soldiers and they march forward with the Dora Milaje and all the different tribes, and including the great rhino posses, which I love. Killmonger hops on one, grabs a spear, and he says, Black Panther's line, Wakanda forever, as they're marching forward and they're doing battle with the drones. Now, the thing I noticed that the drones were pretty damn easy to defeat. And the reason why I say this is because, we know that they're going to win, but I thought there would be much more of an effort, a fight effort, maybe a few casualties. But then I realized Killmonger programmed these drones. He knew exactly what he was doing. So the fight style of the drone that was in Tony Stark's house was way different than the fight style of the drones on the battlefield. So Wakanda made mincemeat of these drones and stuff, and I think it's because the way Killmonger programmed these drones and stuff.
He wanted it to be a power play. He was using the drones as an opportunity to build his trust, trust that the royal family had for him.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And so he did, and he made sure that, some of the more prominent soldiers, including the Queen, was looking at him as he was going into battle, help destroying the drones, saving maybe one of them and stuff like that. And he even got the nod from the Queen. So that was, so there goes. He got their trust off of the battlefield. Went back after he defeated the drones. T'Chaka was like, man, you're like your father, you got this warrior spirit. Like, he really was kind of he was becoming enamored with his nephew, to the point where this is where he decided, you know what? I think there's a place for you, no matter what you were, where you want to go, there's a place for you here. He's like, well, I think I'm where I want to be and stuff. And he wanted to hear that. So he was like, I'm going to make you the Black Panther. And as much as that pained me, that actually fell into Killmonger's plan. So they did the ceremony and everything, and he goes to the astral planes, and this is where we see T'Challa, who died, and he warns Killmonger, suffering only, you can't cure suffering by creating more suffering. That that's not a thing you can do and stuff. And Killmonger, basically said, I'm tearing everything down. I'm following my dad's dream, which is what got his dad killed in the first place, because he wanted to arm people all over the world and to fight back and to fight colonialism and everything else and stuff. And it's like, I get to do that and stuff. And the thing with Killmonger is, the more he conquers, he's never going to be that. He's not going to be a Thanos. This is the big difference between Killmonger and Thanos, because they both are mission focused. But once Thanos completed his mission, like eliminating half of the universe, he went to go retire on a farm. Killmonger, that's not him. He will always find a reason to fight more, to conquer more, to destroy more and stuff. So, and I think that's one thing that he doesn't know about himself and stuff. But anyway, he was warned. T'Challa gave him the warning, and then he comes from the astral plane and he wakes up and he gets his gold and black armor, which is what he had in Black Panther, and now he is the Black Panther of Wakanda. So it kind of cuts to kind of like, I call it the extra credit scene, where Pepper Potts goes back to her office, and there's Shuri somehow from the battle managed to quickly get to the United States and to Stark Industries and have a conversation and say, hey, guess what I found on my cousin here? He is the bad guy. He engineered this whole entire thing. Pepper was like, oh, I knew it. We have to, let's stick together and let's, kind of, we're going to have to go to battle, but we're going to have to do this together. And Shuri agreed. And then that's kind of where that episode ended. So there's your recap.
I think I'm ready for the sequel on this one. I'm ready to see Pepper and Shuri go after Killmonger.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, there were some teaser trailers of them. Shuri has her little gauntlets, and then Pepper's in the background holding a gun. So yeah, we should see some battling and stuff. So hopefully that's who knows? We got one more episode. So.
It was a really good episode.
It was.
It was good.
I have to say, my explainer is longer than the episode. So.
Hey, we talked a little bit beforehand, so it's like the same length.
So, does anyone have anything else to add to that episode, or
no?
I think
we got it.
Detailed, yeah.
I think we did. I liked it. I thought it was really good to really kind of play how intelligent Killmonger is and how strategic he is.
When you can remove his emotion.
Yes, yes. So when you had more time to do the character development, which they did. They did a great job in this little it's like half-hour series and stuff, and they really showed Killmonger. I mean, he did a great job in this. So
I loved the attention to detail in this episode, and like I was talking about with their fighting styles and making Romana like a general of the Dora Milaje and giving us things that we didn't get to see in the Sacred Timeline. I think that made this episode over the top for me. So I liked it a lot.
We got to see background stuff that that was happening, but we didn't get exposed to until now. So it was kind of cool. It's like we got to see a little sneak peek while another story was taking place and stuff. Like what would have happened 5 years before Civil War? Well, yeah. Queen Ramona is a general of the Dora Milaje. Like, oh.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Do one of you guys want to recap number 7? Party on Thor?
Breanna, you want to take it?
Yeah, I can. Or at least I'll do some cliff notes here. I think I remember most of it. I watched it for the first time today, so because this was one I think came out right around when I was leaving for my trip. So we tried. So this was kind of a what if episode on if Thor was raised as an only child and what he would turn into.
A frat boy.
A frat boy.
Frat boy's a bad name.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, you're stereotypical frat boy.
It was a very stereotypical party. He is like 23 years old going for it. And I loved that it started to take place in Vegas. I was like, oh, the perfect.
Yes. So Odin was going into Odin sleep.
Right. Yeah. So we start out with kind of like a beginning with Jane and Darcy in their van, and they get a reading on their monitors that something's coming, and we see Thor show up in Vegas. And then we flash back to where Odin's going into this Odin sleep, and Frigga's going off to see her sister for the solstice and telling Thor that he needs to study, which I love it. It literally is just a Thor in college.
Well, he's the proxy king now.
So, Frigga says, no partying, you must study, you must read all these books. And she leaves, and Thor gathers his friends, and they are off, what they call it, a backwoods planet, backwoods, yeah.
Backwoods planet,
that no one's going to know about.
Yeah. Heimdall, he who sees everything, will not be checking on the backwater planet and stuff. So. That was hilarious.
And strategically lands right in Vegas, the good old party city. So basically, then we start to see Jane and Thor kindle their love in a fun party way. Jane realizes that he is the first extraterrestrial to land, and she wants to go talk to him.
So she thinks.
And Yeah, right. And so she goes over and she's like, I'm going to make first contact. And Darcy points out that everyone else has already met Thor. So
I was not a fan of animated Darcy.
Like her looks or her like she didn't look like Darcy at all.
She's not as cute as Darcy is.
It took me like it was her voice, and I was like, honestly, like if it wasn't blatantly like the scene of Darcy and Jane, I wouldn't have known it was Darcy at all. Like,
exactly.
She did not look like Darcy. Every other character they've done really well with, but Darcy did not look like her.
They did not do my girl justice.
No. So Jane goes and talks to Thor, and we already start seeing their spark. Thor takes what looks like some sort of iPad and calls it some sort of magic box or something. And talks about how it would take a whole crew on Asgard to be able to build one of this. So Jane must be a genius, and earns, I guess, his respect that way. Darcy goes off with Howard the Duck.
Oh yeah,
on a little date.
Lots of party goers coming.
There's you get everyone.
We get the entire Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor all on Earth partying. Including the Grandmaster, who's DJing.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I forget what Nebula's playing. She's playing some sort of game.
Oh, she's playing craps. She's trying to win money so she can get her eye.
A new eye. Yeah.
New eye, yeah.
And then we see Darcy and Howard the Duck get married by Elvis. And Jane and Thor get tattoos. Jane says magic with more... oh my gosh. And then Thor says science. Yeah.
Science, yeah.
Yeah.
The hammer and the beaker. Yes.
Yes. Or like it's beaker or I don't even know. Something sciencey. Something's on. And then so we could go through the party montage, and then they wake up in a hotel completely hungover. Phone's going. Is there something? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I just want to interject before we get there because Thor gets one of his guests is a special guest. Is he is no longer Loki's brother? So, but Loki shows up in his frost
brothers forever,
Raquel and everything and stuff as a giant frost king and so, our prince. And I have to say, okay, I think this Loki and Thor relationship is more brotherly than all the other ones and stuff.
It's really a bromance.
It's a full bromance and stuff. I mean, they are literally brothers from another. It was kind of cool to see.
Yeah, no, I loved when Loki showed up, and he is full on frost giant. I think Thor grabs his like pinky with his whole hand.
It's like, yes, all right, brother from another.
Brother. And Loki's like singing, brother from another. I'm like, this is fabulous. I love seeing a lighthearted Loki. But so they wake up in the hotel room, and we see a lot more characters, rockets in the sink, which was my favorite.
Very hangover style.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Jane's phones are all going off, which is just the worst when you're waking up after a night like that.
Shield's trying to talk to you.
Yeah. And then banging on the door, and we get Maria Hill as acting director of S.H.I.E.L.D. And
because Nick Fury got knocked out.
Literally, Nick Fury got yeeted by Korg. During.
They didn't even take. This is the part I hate. I love Nick Fury. He's a pivotal character, but they gave him 2 seconds. He gets yeeted by Korg as he does a cannonball into the fountain, and now he is out of commission.
They're like, he's still unconscious, and I was like, well, poor Fury.
They did Nick wrong. That was wrong.
So they're off now in some sort of S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters, and they've got Darcy and Jane there, and they're going, all right, it's time for what they call it, the last resort or final something.
So Agent Coulson is talking about how like his partying ways is spreading throughout the entire planet and stuff, and we have to put a stop to this. So it's time, pull out the last resort, and then Hill pulls out the famous pager beeper. I called it beeper back in the day.
I think they called it a I think Darcy called it a pager because her dad has one or something because he's a podiatrist. Right.
He's a podiatrist.
She's like, "Are you calling a podiatrist?"
So man. they hit the signal and stuff, and then do they go back to where?
Yeah, so Thor is now in France because I don't know if they said who, but someone wanted crepes, so Thor went off to France, and that's where him and Loki are talking, and they see a shooting star. And the shooting star comes in, and it's Captain Marvel. And honestly, I was ready for a full-on fight between Thor and Captain Marvel because this would have been insane. And that was kind of when I was watching it, I was like, man, I was hoping for something more. And then as Captain Marvel at the end is going, we can't do that or we're going to destroy the planet.
Like, they had some good music, though.
It did have some
battle.
I enjoyed the fight montage. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But she was right. She was not at her full power mode. I mean, when she goes full power, she turns into binary, which is a binary star, which would just literally destroy half of the planet.
And Shield was ready to nuke them both to eliminate Thor as a threat.
Yeah.
Which I would have loved to have seen because it would not have done any. I mean, it probably would have maybe knocked Captain Marvel out for a moment or two. It wouldn't have done anything to Thor and stuff, but it would have been interesting to see humans trying to, destroy a god-like figure as well as a eternal imbued infinity, powered being and stuff. So, but yeah, that was.
So instead of blowing up the entire planet,
yes,
she decides she's going to go find Frigga.
Yeah,
and tell her what her son's been up to.
But yes, there was a point. I still laugh when Thor goes, "You know what we call women like you on Asgard? A party pooper."
Party poopers, yes.
It's like, oh my gosh.
So there was a scene. Can I clear up for a lot?
Yeah, go ahead.
I got some questions on some of my other forums and stuff because they were talking about how at the end Thor set his hammer on Captain Marvel and Captain Marvel was kind of stuck on the ground and stuff. And it's like, well, so the whole battle with the Frost Giants is what kind of got Thor in trouble with Odin. And Odin put the curse on the Mjolnir, the hammer, saying only he who is worthy can wield it and stuff. So here's the thing, and I want to kind of set this out because that Frost Giant battle didn't happen, Thor didn't almost pull Asgard into another war. There was really no reason for Odin to scold Thor the way he did. So it's very, very easy to believe that Odin could have just simply said that the only person who can wield this extremely powerful weapon is Thor. So if that's the case, no one else can pick that up. So you resolve that without having to go into this like, oh, it's a continuity thing, it's this and that. Very simple. It's a spell. Odin has millions of spells and stuff. He could simply said, no one can lift a hammer but Thor, and so be it. That's how that works. So just want to put that out there.
Yeah, no, it's good because I actually was questioning that too. I was more of like wondering. I was just like wondering where that storyline had went, or if they were still going with.
Yeah, there's no
different
Frost
timeline.
Giant issues.
Yeah, different timelines. So different.
I mean, Loki was returned back to the Frost Giants.
Loki was returned. Loki and Thor are friends, so I'm assuming that they've got a decent relationship with the Frost Giants.
Absolutely. And speaking of relationships, we get Suitor, who, the devil himself, kind of trying to hit on Lady Liberty. I'm like, man, really?
And just chops off her arm because he's.
And then he walks off like he didn't do anything against them. He just moves. It's like, yeah, okay, that's weird. Okay, but yeah.
The Frost Giants putting horns on Mount Rushmore.
Oh, that's right.
I think there was a goatee or something too that was happening, but there was definitely horns and stuff. This episode was just wild. I was just having a lot of fun with this episode.
Thor went back to his actor's roots. They went to Australia, and he skied down the what is that big opera house?
The Sydney Opera House.
Yeah,
I think that's. Well, he started to, and that's when Captain Marvel again takes him out, and that's when they're trying to go somewhere
That's right.
remote to really battle. And then Jane, and I think it was Darcy. Darcy's like, well, at least we should just be able to call his mom. That's what they do with teenagers when they throw a party, is call their parents. So they figure out how to get to
amplify that signal. They amplified the signal. So Heimdall, because Jane started putting together like, well, if Thor is a part of all this Greek, the legend, the Norse legends and stuff, so then there must be a Frigga, there must be an Odin, and there must be a Heimdall who is in charge of the Bifrost. So let's try to amplify the signal, and they do, and she yells Heimdall, and then he sees her, and boom, transports her to Asgard. So,
she's in Asgard, and then goes to wherever Frigga is visiting her sister, is chugging wine while she's telling her that her son is on Earth partying, and they need to go get him.
I love how Heimdall, when she shows up at the Rainbow Bridge, she just mentions Thor, and he's like, "I'm not dealing with this." I'm gonna sing you straight.
He's
to
like,
his
too
mother.
much.
I'm gonna go ahead and sing straight to his mother. This is where his mother is. Bye.
Oh gosh.
And Thor, in the meantime, is trying to clean up the mess before Mommy gets there.
Yeah. So Frigga comes in at like some sort of like astro projection type deal, and asks him what he's doing, where he's at, and he's like, I'm at home. And then there's a polar bear that like runs across the back. And he's like, oh yeah, I actually am on Earth, but we're doing some sort of cultural studies here. We're studying cultural studies, guys. And so, then he's got now to clean up the planet because he knows his mom is coming to check to see if he is really studying.
And he almost got away with it.
And and then Captain Marvel's in the background, kind of chuckling it up because Mommy came, and so he asked her for some help and some advice, and she's like, what did she say about cleaning? Start from the corner.
Start from the corners and go out, or something like that.
Work your way from the corners or something, and clean up your mess or something. So, and then she takes off and stuff. So So he ends up going to. Are they're in Paris or somewhere like you said?
I think they're back, still back in Sydney. I think he goes back because they were in France. Captain Marvel kicks them to the UK, and they're back in the US at some point, and then they're in Sydney. Like they've infiltrated the whole planet. So I think it's when they go back to Sydney, they've got the St. Louis Arch in the air, upside down, trying to make the world's largest slingshot. It's just fabulous.
About that part.
And that's when Thor's like, no, y'all gonna get out. My mom's coming. But wait, you don't actually have to leave. You have to help me clean up first. It really is just like a teenage party.
It is. It's just, oh my gosh.
And nobody wanted to help, including Loki, who was like, all right, well, you're on your own, bro. See ya.
Yeah.
And that's when Thor summoned the Odin, god power, and says, I am Thor, and I need you to help because my mommy's coming. It was like, wait, your mom? So that's when we get the cleanup montage. So
yes. So yes, now they're cleaning up. I think they try to they get rid of the horns on Mount Rushmore. They weld the Statue of Liberty's arm back on. And when Frigga shows up, Thor's in front of like a chalkboard trying to teach, and Captain Marvel brings him something, a book or something. I don't remember now.
iPad with all of the
with all the information.
Mm-hmm.
And then
she's totally covered for Thor.
Yes,
she could have put him on blast, but
she didn't. She decided to help. And then Thor reaches for his hammer, and when it comes back to him, it's covered in like Mardi Gras beads, and I don't even know what was all on the hammer. And that's when the cover was blown.
Yep. Oh yeah. So sad Thor had to go back to Asgard, and so before he left, he went to go meet Jane because she told on him. But she did what any potential girlfriend would do who cares about him is,
tell his mom.
Tell his mother. Your son is acting out. So,
Oh, man.
but yeah. So they end up having kind of like, well, he horribly asked her out, and she had to correct him. It was like, I forgot what he said. I can't remember what the.
They're going to some other planet with unicorns.
You're going on a date to a planet full of unicorns.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which is a real planet in the Marvel comic book universe. So you guys
That's
know.
my kind of date.
Unicorns everywhere.
Yes, there is a unicorn planet.
And he acknowledges that Jane was probably in the right to call his mom, and he's growing up a little bit. Our little Thor is growing up.
They grow up so fast.
Oh man, super fast. Yeah.
39 minutes.
So then so they kiss in that scene? Or does it I think it gets disrupted because in comes, we get the nice little end credit kind of we get Ultron Vision. I mean, so yeah, that was, oh man. And for those who don't know, Watu the Watcher actually, we saw the most expressiveness because he was actually prepared to close this out saying happy ever after and everything else. And then it was like, oh, what the
he said, oh, well, maybe I spoke too soon.
Yeah. So yeah, we get glorious Ultron with all the Infinity Stones fastened to his amazing gauntlet armor of a suit. And yeah, it just ends right there. So, which we will absolutely be talking about that episode because that episode's crazy next time we do this and stuff. So we'll be talking about that episode with the finale because those two I think goes perfectly hand in hand together because it kind of I think it ties up and buttons up all the other episodes that were just left with cliffhangers and stuff. But man, that was I really did think we're going to get a happy, sappy episode, and there's like nothing that was going to, besides getting yelled at by Frigga and stuff. I was like, oh, okay. Then we got Ultron, and I was like, oh, shoot. Okay.
I was glad because I think the episode needed that.
It did. Absolutely did it.
Because if not, it was going to be completely pointless.
It really,
It had no place.
It was fun, but it
was a fun episode.
It didn't tell this. Nope. It didn't further the story.
No, it did not. I agree 100%. It could have been a lost episode, and it wouldn't have impacted what was going on. But here, it was very much so needed. So I liked it. And boy, I can't wait. So I want to set aside some time next time we talk about that episode, the episode with Ultron, because the episode's called Ultron Wins. What if he won? There's some Infinity Stones, some things with Loki. And the way we understand how the Infinity Stones work, there's a misunderstanding that we all kind of went through. And I actually talked to a guy who I look up to who's a comic book. That dude is like my icon and stuff. And it was the first time that I actually had a a disagreement moment. And then I had to quickly concede and rewatch a Loki episode to find out that he was absolutely correct when he checked me on this. So I'm going to talk about that in the next time when we cover the next episode, because there's some interesting stuff that's going to be germane to the entire next phase of the live action and stuff of the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse. So,
well, I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Way to get us
right. I'm ready.
I wasn't saying that like it's going to be this big grand thing, but it's going to clarify some misconceptions and stuff about the Infinity Stones and how they work. So.
All right, but as far as tonight, I think we have covered those two episodes pretty in depth. Unless there's anything else anybody wants to add.
Well, which are the two episodes you guys like the most?
Killmonger.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, like I said, the Thor one was just fun, but the Killmonger one really had a lot of depth that I liked.
I agree. I agree. Even though I did like that Darcy married Howard the Duck.
Okay, that was awesome. That was
by
awesome.
Elvis.
She's still married, so that.
Even though I wasn't happy with Darcy's, she wasn't cute as she really is. Yes, but that's okay.
Well, they brought, and here's the thing: this is the one episode that they brought pretty much everybody back. Everyone came back and reprised their roles, including Darcy, so she signed off on best look. So, but yeah, I agree. It didn't really look like Darcy.
It didn't look like Darcy. No, that was the only thing I was super disappointed about.
Yeah, it bothered me more than it probably should have through the episode.
Exactly, like the fact that we've already brought it up 3 times tonight. Yeah, it's.
So it wasn't the bestiality marriage. It was the
no. It was just the fact that it didn't look like Darcy.
Hey,
it's Marvel. Things happen.
Oh yeah.
It's a cartoon romance, David.
Well, yeah, I forgot Beauty and the Beast, kind of like yeah. Okay.
I was thinking Jessica Rabbit and
okay,
David
and you.
Got it. Okay, we'll make that work. All right, so we.
Oh goodness. We are good.
We are good. We did a good job. We covered it. We got Breanna back and Sam holding down the fort. Fort. It's late. I'm sorry. I misspoke. But we're holding it down for all you Marvel Tribe heads out there and stuff. And I guess this is the part where we say where you can find us and just kind of, I don't know.
Follow us at Walt's Apartment Podcast on Facebook. We have and Instagram and TikTok and Twitter.
Yep.
You can find our podcast everywhere you listen to podcasts. If you are listening to us on Apple, please leave us a review and a rating to help us out with that algorithm.
Yes.
And you can also join our group, which is Walt's Apartment Behind the Lamp. And yeah,
that group's on Facebook. So
it is. All right. And that's all we've got for you. See you next time on the Marvel Tribe.
Marvel Tribe.